Hi, everyone. Father David here, coming to you still dressed in black, still a little bit more casual than what I usually am, and also still from another room in the house. So I'm here today with the second of two videos talking about anxiety. And in the first video, which I dropped yesterday, I spoke about anxiety in a broad sense, and then also setting boundaries around like how we define anxiety and how we can set boundaries around ourselves by guarding our emotional reserves. It may be a while before our anxiety levels come from up here back down to a more healthy level. But I believe that just as we are pulling together to stay home during this time, we can also pull together and help each other cope. As a reminder, some of this material is a result of some learnings in a class that I'm taking through the Baptist Seminary of Kentucky. And this class was recommended to me by a colleague on Twitter whom I admire and trust. From what I can tell, the seminary welcomes and invites diversity of tradition and culture, and I'm enjoying the class so far. So as always, if you like what we have going on in our little corner of the family of God, please give this video a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to keep abreast of what we're talking about. Excuse me. So yesterday I spoke about three broad concerns which I believe we all share. And those are, how long will it be before things go back to the way they were? How do we adapt to the new needs that we're finding that we have? And how do we cope? So the short answer to the first question was, we just don't know. And to let ourselves be okay that we don't know. Because at the end of the day, we're all getting through this the best way and the most faithful way that we know how. I also still think that for the second question, we're still figuring those things out because each person and each household is unique in the needs that we have, especially on economic and social levels. So it may be better than for me giving ideas for each of us to reflect on what our own needs are in our household. When I reflected further on the third question, how do we cope? I think a better framing to the question might be instead, how do we flourish as a people? God, in his generosity, mercy, love, and creativity, made the human race in such a way so that we may adapt and we might even flourish under many circumstances and situations. Now, this is not to downplay at all where we currently find ourselves, but I did want to mention that to offer up some hope. We can have hope because the scriptural witness does show us a God who from the beginning never leaves his people or abandons them to whatever the world throws our way. Jesus says to his disciples before he underwent his own passion and time of suffering, "Let not your hearts be troubled, and let them not be afraid." And some of his final words on earth were, "Behold, I am with you always, even to the ends of the ages." Passages like these and others throughout the Bible could be helpful in centering ourselves so that we may rest in God's peace. We can also participate in some mindfulness practices, such as taking some deep and steady breaths, or we can just light a candle and focus on watching the dancing of the flame. We can renew our commitment to our faith through listening to some music, whether it's gospel music, Southern gospel music, or some more contemporary praise choruses, or even some hymns. We can read some devotionals that are found online, or we can reach out to our church and see if they have some devotionals they could recommend if you don't have one. But the single most important thing that we could do in our time at home is to reach out to others, whether it's our church family or our family and friends outside of church. Some of the most important things we can do as we are building up and drawing on our own spiritual resources is to use those resources to discover hope and to share love. We can call up a neighbor or someone who lives close by and then arrange to meet with them outside for a chat while we're standing at a safe distance. We could sit on the front porch in the morning or in the evening when we normally would be in our cars on the way to work or school and say hello to people as they walk their dogs. We can take walks ourselves around the block or up and down the street and wave to people who are sitting on their own front porches. We can even write notes with pen and paper to each other and then drop them in the mailbox. Then as we are reaching out to each other, we can also hear each other's concerns. It may be helpful to have one or two people outside of our home that we can talk to and share our worries and concerns, or even share our anger and sadness, or even share some bright spots during the day. I feel like a lot of folks would be happy to hear some bright spots if we have any to share. If there is someone you know who lives by themselves, feel free to reach out to them, even if you don't know them that well. If you know of a pastor or a priest who lives by themselves, don't be afraid to reach out to them either, because I can tell you they would love to hear from you just to say hi or to let them know that you are praying for them. Trust me, they'll really appreciate it. So these are all examples of how we can discover hope and to share love. We will all come through this in much better shape if we help each other where help is needed or wanted. As we guard our own emotional reserves, like I talked about in the last video, we can be present to each other in ways that we can actually be present. If, for instance, a friend of mine told me that they had to drop off someone at the hospital, I could offer to be available for them to talk about that experience and what that was like. I can walk with them through that and debrief with them to help them figure out what was going on inside. I wouldn't be seeking or offering any answers to them, but just to walk with my friend through that moment so they know that they're not alone. We could find other more tangible ways to help each other too. There's nothing better for our state of mind than to get outside of our own heads and do something for someone else. Like if we're going to the store, pick up something for someone. This does wonders for our own perspective, and it also has the added benefit of helping us to feel better. One thing that we do on my block is that when one of us cuts the grass, the houses are close enough together that oftentimes we'll mow the little spaces in front of each other's houses, and that helps to foster a sense of community. So that's just a quick run on some things we can do in the short term to help manage our own anxieties. I don't want to bog you down with a whole lot in the middle of the week, but I did want to share some things that I have been learning. Please let me know whether or not these things are helpful so I can make adjustments as needed. Later this week, I'm going to have my next video on some formation practices, this time on prayer. And before I sign off today, I wanted to leave you with some more words from Jesus, which he gave in the Gospel of John. Peace I leave with you, my own peace I give to you, a peace which the world cannot give. Let not your hearts be troubled, let them not be afraid. Thank you very much for letting me be with you today. I hope you have a great day today, and take care.